Good day, students. I am Miss Jade and I am from South Africa, and I'll be taking you through an English literature lesson. Before we begin, let's have a look at our to-do list. First thing we're going to do is we're going to greet. We're going to check that our workspace is neat and ready to start working. And then number 3, you will take out your books and sit silently and wait for the next instruction. Now that our workspace is ready and we are waiting for our next instruction, which is to take note of the word list. So I would like you to take 5 minutes and log into your devices and go and find the meaning of these 4 words on our word list. The first word is folk, the next word is law, the other word is myth, and lastly legend. I'll give you 5 minutes to go and find the meanings of these 4 words. It has been 5 minutes. I hope that everybody has had an opportunity to find all of the words on our word list. Can anybody tell me what the word folk means? Has anybody found the meaning? Okay, Google does give a lengthy definition, but how can we summarize that? Yes, folk does mean people. That is correct. Has anyone found the meaning of the word law? Yes, again, Google has given us a long explanation for what law is. But yes, in summary, it is stories. Before I ask you about myth and legend, I want you to make sure that you have this diagram in your workbook. I will give you 3 minutes. Exactly 3 minutes to draw what is on the board with a ruler and your neatest handwriting. So let's discuss the word folklore again. So we break it up and we say folk and law. If we put those 2 words together and think about our meaning, it is people and stories. And now if we look closer at the word law, stories, and we will find that it is a book compiled with stories of people. So if we go back in history, we will find that human beings sat around the fire telling stories about their hunt. So why do you think the earliest human beings shared stories about their hunt? Yes, that is correct. They possibly wanted to warn people. They wanted to warn their small group about not going certain places without supervision of a male, perhaps, who is skilled in using an arrow. So it was all about warning people. And there is historical evidence of hunting stories being told around the fire. In Africa specifically, there are rock paintings of perhaps a man with a spear, a picture of an animal. There could be pictures of multiple animals to indicate that he found a herd to kill that week. And this was possibly sustenance for the winter times. So people told stories around the fire. They only had rock to draw paintings on. There was no access to paper yet during this time. It only comes in later when human beings begin to take to the sea and start trading with each other. So folklore, people stories. And this is a genre of short stories. So this year we will be looking at short stories, and what I have behind me is two sections or two genres underneath the genre of folklore. So the first section is myth, as you can see. Alright, so who has done research on the word myth? Yes, simple. It can be simple by saying it is something that is fake, something that is made up. But there are two ways to understanding a myth. The first way is a myth is a made up story made to believe it is true. So, for example, what I have here on the board is Bigfoot. Now, Bigfoot is a myth because someone discovered a big footprint, and all of a sudden this becomes an investigated myth of somebody or a human being or animal like related to an ape that is tall. That is Bigfoot, also known as a Sasquatch. So presently there are still some people who is researching the existence of Bigfoot, and there are a few research articles proving this myth true, and then there's some that is proving the myth to be false, completely fake and made up. And that is how a myth works in the first instance. Secondly, a mythical story can be used to explain why things are the way that they are. So when we think about stories, some mythical stories are made up for us to believe that it's true, but in this instance that I'm talking about now, there were stories that were told that explains things about the world. Is the belief in gods and goddesses, and it's magic, fictional creatures, right? And these magical stories and Greek goddesses and gods is Greek mythology's way of having models and role models to look up to during the time of ancient Greece. So one example that I have is Zeus. Alright, I'm sure you have heard of Zeus. A lot of contemporary games, they make use of Greek mythology as one of their storylines. There's been lots of TV shows made with this character. I know a friend of mine actually named their dog Zeus. It sounds very fierce. Yes, you're right. Yes. Remember, you need to put up your hand, don't just shout out. Okay, so Zeus is in fact the god of thunder. Alright, and his story tells ancient Greece that is why thunder is made. That's why thunder happens or lightning strikes, because of Zeus's story. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail about Zeus for this semester. We will not be focusing on Greek mythology specifically. We will look at other literature, mythical stories that is relevant. Alright, so Zeus will remain on our board, but what I specifically like to speak about in mythical stories is the story of King Midas and the Golden Touch. Now that is something you will like, and I'm sure you've heard about that in elementary. But today, when we are reading King Midas and the Golden Touch, yes, it has a Greek mythology background, but it also has a story of morals and explaining why things are the way that they are. Alright, so you can log in to Microsoft Teams. The reading for King Midas and the Golden Touch is there, and I would like you to read through the story and answer the questions. The last time we were together, I gave you homework about King Midas and the Golden Touch. You're supposed to read it and answer the questions in your workbook. I will be checking the workbook today after the lesson. So please make sure your books are up to date. So the last time we were together, we had a list of 4 words on the board. Can anybody remember the meaning of folk? People, that is right. Anybody can remember the meaning of the word law? Stories, yes, that's right. Myths and legend was the other 2 words, yes. So can anybody remember what we discussed about myth? The first meaning, yes, a made up story believed to be true, and the example we gave is Bigfoot. Yes. The second meaning, something based on Greek mythology with goddesses and mythical creatures with magic. Yes, and these are mythical stories that try to explain why something is the way that it is. And I made the example of Zeus being the reason why a natural phenomenon like thunder occurs. Yes, because he is the god of thunder. That is what somebody mentioned in our previous lesson. So today we're going to be looking at legends. Alright, so on the board I've already done some research to help you. So let's see if your meaning matches my meaning. Okay, so a story based on the life of a real person or event. Now I have 2 examples, right? I have Robin Hood, which we'll discuss later, and then I have Santa Claus. Now Santa Claus, why do you think he is a legend? No, not because he brings presents in December. No. Yeah, has anybody done any research on Santa? Okay, I did not give you any indication to go and do research, but I am here to embark on the journey of Santa with you. So Santa Claus is based on a man by the name of Saint Nicholas, who in the 16th century jumped on the roofs of people's houses in England. Now, before England became a huge colonizing nation, people were very poor in England, so possibly the 16th century isn't exactly the best time period. So this is just where the crown started to do colonization, started to take to the seas. And people were very poor during those times. Winters were harsh, right? So there was this man, Saint Nicholas, who jumped on people's roofs at night during one evening of December and started throwing down little bags of coins down the chimney. So listen to that part of Santa's story already. So where does Santa put his presents? Yeah, down the chimney, and it all stems from this one story of Saint Nicholas who threw coins down the chimney. Okay, so as time went on, the story started to evolve. People started adding on, over exaggerating, and we get the Santa that we are dealing with right now, a big symbol of consumerism, meaning people buy into the idea of gift giving in December. And Santa being this big, round fellow with a red suit. So Santa Claus would be regarded as a legend because there is a real person behind the story of Santa, which is essentially Saint Nicholas. So what I want you to do is I want you to do some research on Robin Hood. So I'm going to give you about 15 minutes to answer a few questions that will get you thinking, get your research going. So who is the legend behind the legend of Robin Hood? What is the backstory?